Hello and welcome yet again to another English interview on my YouTube channel. I try to expand my horizons by talking to more people in English, even though most of my content is in Spanish. And we've had a wonderful time talking to people that make the news and break the news regarding technology and that are behind a lot of the stuff that we to take for granted when we talk about cybersecurity, e-commerce, and all of the technology that drives our daily lives. I'd like to start with introducing you to Igor Ilievsky. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's the head of Amenex and Amenexia, a company that is dealing with helping e-commerce here in Panama and around the world. I'm going to start with asking Igor, this this effort called Aminex and Aminexia, how did it emerge out of your more than 2 decades worth of experience in the e-commerce sector from your first store in Macedonia to now establishing yourself in Panama?
Gracias, Alex, para invitarme a esta entrevista y mil disculpas a tu audiencia para que hacemos esta entrevista en inglés. Lo siento a todos, aún no hablo español tanto bien. Entonces, my story is quite a long story. So to make it short, I started 20 years ago back in Macedonia, where I'm born and raised, with a vision and a crazy idea to design and sell online, then dropship canvas pop art prints to the United States. So why it's crazy? It's not because back in the days, e-commerce and selling online was something that nobody knew anything about. It's crazy because I'm actually colorblind. So designing that pop art prints and seeing those vibrant colors was my first challenge, but I had to figure out a way how to deal with my color blindness first, then to learn everything that's need to be learned about selling online. This I'm talking about digital marketing, SEO. Remember, this is 2002, 2003, where no Facebook, no YouTube actually existed. Long story short, my journey learning all this, eventually from all this was born my first e-commerce agency, which is MKMage. At the beginning, we were designing websites here in Europe and clients in United States. Then we expanded to SEO, to marketing, to social media, email marketing, all that. And long story short, I ended up moving the office in New York. This allowed me direct access to clients, dealing with them, helping them, more importantly, transforming their brick and mortar businesses, stores, tiendas, into online stores. We work with many clients across US, different industry, different niches, I know fashion, electronics, manufacturing tools, and so on and so forth, till around COVID, where I decided to expand my business, the e-commerce business, to South America. That's how I ended up landing at Tokumen in 2001. Crazy enough, I didn't know anything about Panama back then. And I didn't know any Spanish, no piqui pane aún. So why I ended up landing in Panama just to expand the e-commerce influence to South America, and Panama was just making sense to me. Being a central hub with access to both North America and South America made a lot of sense. But I was surprised by the climate and, more importantly, about the positive vibe that people in Panama kind of have. And I felt very welcome there. Didn't know anybody, to be honest. So slowly and surely, that idea turned into my maybe new business, which is called MNX. Around the same time, AI was getting around. So back in the United States, I'm going back a couple of years back, aside of transitioning the brick and mortar to online, we ended up building a lot of tools. We ended up getting involved in the dirt with those owners that wanted to just grow online. And by building those tools, we learned a lot about what it means to sell online. With the help of AI, I came up with the vision to build this AI shopping assistant, which is Amenexia, to help people sell online more. Not just sell online, but to give the human experience of selling in brick and mortar store to transfer it online, which means treat the customers in the same way as you're treating them in your local store, with the same attention, with the same passion that a local vendor will give to the customer when you enter the store, the same to be transitioned online. So what's the problem with that? The problem is that you cannot actually accommodate that many people online. Back in the States, our clients were outsourcing this feature. Like they will just send it offshore and hire maybe people in India, people in Philippines or Nigeria. And that's okay to a certain level. But all those people, all those armies of customer support reps will need to be trained. They need to learn your product. They need to learn your service. And also they need to learn your customers. So with the help of AI, we're merging all this experience and make it so easy to train the AI, to teach your own ways, your own voice about your products, about your business, about your customers in a matter of days. So that's how Amenexia was born in Panama.
Interesting. Now, one of the challenges that e-commerce companies have when they go from brick and mortar to an online presence that is 24/7, 365 is the fact that it is 24/7. There's no breaks, there's no provisions for things like holidays or downtime because maybe your outsourced team is not available for whatever reason. How does Amanexia solve that for Panamanian online stores that don't themselves have a 24/7 staff that can back up whatever the agents are doing and so on?
If I can be blunt, Panama and e-commerce in Panama is still a baby. Everybody's learning, but outside of Panama and South America, North America, even on a global scale, the biggest challenge that e-commerce founders experience when they transition from brick and mortar to online is they actually treat their online store as a catalog and expect people to come and buy. The difference and the challenge is when you have a brick and mortar store, you know your customers. They come into the store pretty much every day. You can see them, you can feel them, you can understand them, and you can serve them maybe with one or two sellers. When it comes to online, people think about, okay, I'll just buy ads and I'll just do social posting, I'll boost my Facebook, and that works. But then you end up having thousands of visitors on your website and nobody's buying. So the biggest challenge is why they're not buying. And accommodating 1,000 visitors per day, it's not a joke. Can they do it? Most vendors in Panama, they have WhatsApp and they're like texting them. Are they replying in real time? Sometimes. This happens on a global level. In order to accommodate customer support in real time is a challenge. And having somebody landing on your site, finding your product, deciding not to buy or buy, it's a matter of how good information you have on the website. And what I've seen in Panama, people don't really do this quite good. Like, again, they're treating it as a paper catalog when they're just sending the initial specification or maybe details about the product size and so on and so forth. But in reality, people have questions. So those questions need to be answered in real time. And not just in Panama, on a global scale, companies don't have the resources to answer all those questions in real time. Again, I will go to the idea of outsourcing it offshore, but then another challenge came: how you train your team, your customer support team, to understand your products. They need to understand, let's say, thousands of products. Is that an easy job? In our experience, the main challenge, customers, clients, online sellers in New York and across US have to find, number one, number two, train their customer reps, their shopping assistants. If it's about, let's say, I'll give you an example. If it's about sunglasses, right? So this person needs to understand why specific shape of the glasses work with specific face types. Is you have an oval face, you have a round face, you have a square face. Which pair of and which style of glasses work with specific shape of the face, right? Is it an aviator? Is it the Wayfarer? And why? So that takes time. And the moment you train this person, he just asks for a raise or quits, and then you end up at the same game all over again. So with Amenexia, we're solving this big challenge where it comes to just training an ML model with your own data, with your own history of chats, where Amenexia not just replies as a human, but also does it 24/7, 365 days a year. No matter how many chats you have at the same time.
Now, in that regard, how does the Amenexia's AI-powered tool provide a digital salesperson, and how does it learn? Because, as you mentioned, if you have a human salesman in a physical store, you have to train them and so on. How does the training happen in your tool?
Well, same as you would train your own rep in the store with data. You need to provide data. First data you need to provide is your product data. Usually that will be a product feed that you send to, let's say, Facebook Shopping, or a product feed you send to Google Shopping, which is enough for Amenexia to understand your products. I would say an image, pricing, description, titles, and so on and so forth, but we don't stop there. We proceed with data that you have already, customer data, who the customers are, their previous orders, what they ordered, why they ordered, who they are, where they live, and additional data I can tell you the customer's behavior on the website. For example, the same way you train how your sales rep is going to understand if somebody enters the store and just walks around the shelves, for example, the chocolates, right? This person would assume, hey, this customer wants to buy chocolate, right? The same way Amenexia understands and monitors the behavior of the buyers and the visitors on the website. If they are previously visited, let's say, a category of chocolates, Amenexia would assume that this buyer likes chocolates. But also, not just that, remembers that previously this customer or visitor visited the section of vitamins. So might be a good assumption that this customer likes chocolate, but also tries to live healthy or to lose weight, depending on the behavior. So by this, construct the conversation with the customer. Same way as would a human know if the human recognize the customer that enters into the tienda every day and buys chocolates, but at the same time asking question about how to lose weight. So it's all about data and memory of the data. Again, training an AI model is way different than training a human, right? We're talking about fine-tuning, system instructions, and so on and so forth, but the background behind this data.
Now, besides being able to guide a customer in real time to get them to be able to purchase whatever it is that fits their needs at the time, how does it learn, besides the product information, how to personalize recommendation or handle any questions that might not be directly covered by whatever it is you fed the system, but once it has all that information and has it processed, it has the ability then to be able to reply to questions that perhaps were not in the documentation directly.
Nexia has an ability to learn. I mean, you can see this today. That's a very simple thing to do these days. Maybe 3 years ago was not that was a problem. But today you can find systems like Perplexity, even ChatGPT can do research online and get educated on the topic. Nexia is first of all not an AI model; it's a agentic RAG system. As an agentic RAG system, it learns in real time. If there's a knowledge that needs to be learned, it just simply searches online for the answer, then compares the answer with its own data and gives the appropriate answer to the customer. But most of the data, most of the personalization happens based on the data that it has. As I mentioned before, order information, which is all in the systems that Amanex is connected to, for example, in the Shopify admin database, or it can be in a Magento database, it can be BigCommerce database, whatever the e-commerce platform and the online store uses. If the data is not found in this, in the answer is not found in this data, then Amanex has an ability to, it's a very funny thing to say, but you can even try it yourself. A simple question: how confident are you in this answer in percentages? And if it's below 95%, try it again. So Amanex has an ability to evaluate its own answers based on the data, and based on this self-evaluation can provide a very accurate answer, including personalization. And the personalization happens based on previous order data and based on customer behavior and pages visited on the website.
Now, besides being able to make the sale, also, I understand Amanex and Amanexia work together to help with inventory reporting and other types of automations. What can you tell
Well,
me about that process?
well, it's very different. I want to make this clear to the
Thank you.
audience. MNX and Amanexia, I will not say they're two different things, but MNX is basically my team, my company that built Amanexia, right? So MNX is the new brand that evolved from MKMH,
Hmm.
right? So MNX would be the team that built Amanexia that's still supporting and building all these features, and that's the main difference. So
Okay.
in terms of reporting, Amanexia would not send you a report, but will definitely give you a reply in terms of where's my order? Did it shipped out yet? Absolutely. In this way, with this question, Amanexia would understand that you're asking your tracking info. So it will log in with an agent that goes into your ERP if the seller or the e-commerce founder uses an RFP. If not, that will be just checking the tracking number in Shopify and just replying back, hey, your orders have been shipped. This is your tracking number, or depending on the shipping company, which in Panama, that's not quite often that tracking are being sent out, but in the US, for example, um, we'll just reply with the tracking number, or in case of Panama, customer will just say, hey, your order has been shipped today. Will arrive tomorrow or in 2 hours, depending on where it needs to be delivered.
Now, one of the other important parts of an e-commerce setup, as you mentioned, is being able to talk to the ERP that the customer usually has. In the case of pretty large customers, I had the chance to interview a Panamanian e-commerce company that is using SAP as their back end and ERP, and they're using Shopify for their front end and so on. How does Amanexia talk to all of the parts of that ecosystem in order to
So
improve the
that's
value?
that's that's a very great question. I would just assume, let's say we're talking somebody like Do It or Novi, right? So no matter what the ERP system is, what the front end is, what the back end is, Amnexia works as a front end tool, number one, and number two, as a back end integration with all those systems. Like if the backend system is ASP.NET or whatever they have, we have integrations using a third-party partner that allow us to integrate seamlessly into those third parties. So when a question comes to, for example, where's my order? Then the main Amnexia agent, which is the personalization agent, the agent that has this empathy, emotional intelligence, and so on and so forth, understands that, okay, this customer is asking me what's up with my order, then sends the question to the order agent. The order agent will be a different type of LLM behind and understands data. This data is being sent through the exact same code to the ASP system, or it doesn't need to be an ASP. It can be something like Stellar Cloud, it can be something like Channel Advisor, or whatever people use, or we can integrate with. And the answer that will be a simple tracking number, shipping information that's again processed by a Amnexia LLM and sending back to the main agent in a style of, hey, dear customer, your order has been shipped out today, will arrive tomorrow around XYZ hours. The matching happens between the tracking number and the information that's being shipped out today and the main LLM understanding the distance between the warehouse and the final destination. Again, that will be approximation, but a human would know this, right? If I send out my order from Panama City, will arrive in David tomorrow or after 2 days if it's a holiday. So that's the customization and the personalization that the main agent behind Amnexia will understand the distance, the shipping systems, and whatever the tracking, the shipping method has been used. And all into just to provide a more human answer, not just the tracking number.
Now that Amnexia is being a part of what you offer here in Panama and probably in the future, part of what you will be offering the region in regards to helping e-commerce meet its goal of helping the end user, the customer, the purchaser. Why did you choose Panama specifically as your base to launch for the rest of the region?
I didn't choose Panama. Panama chose me.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so anyway, that's yeah, as I mentioned before when I started, like I choose Panama mainly because of the location. Access to South America, access to North America. That was the primary reason. And again, the safety, the economical position, and all the nice business stuff. But when I say Panama choose me, is because I actually felt welcome in Panama, felt like home. I'm still trying to figure out why. Aside of the emotional part, Panama is indeed positioned in a very unique way as a central part of America. It's a central hub that gives you access to entire South continent and then entire North continent in pretty much more or less the same time zone. And again, the Panama Canal gives tremendous advantage for everybody that's selling in Panama that can just get shipment on time or get new merchandise on time, and in the same time ship it out very easily in North America as well as in South America. So yeah, that was the primary reason, to be honest. The access to both continents.
Okay. And, we're all pretty much the same, I would say, time zone, which also helps a lot with regards to things like support and reaching out to Amnexia's customers. Speaking of Amnexia's customers using Amnexia, what concrete results have your clients seen, be it increased conversion, reduced cost, better user experience, and so on?
So the first benefit that customers are experiencing is the reduced cost, but not reduced cost of advertising, the reduced cost of, and this you can hear. I mean, I'm sure you have heard so many companies are using AI for support these days, right? So the first benefit that customers that are selling online are experiencing is just the reduced cost of customer support representatives. That's number one. I would not preach that use AI to do the customer support, but that would be the first benefit. The second and most important benefit, I'll take a step back, give you some data. When you're selling online, your average conversion rate, if you're lucky, is around 2%. And by if you're lucky, I'm saying if you have an established brand, you have a very popular product that people want and need. So that makes out of 100 visits on your website, only 2 people buy. Usually from that 98%, you have 3 persons that are asking questions on your website. So the question that people ask would be in terms of, let's say, for example, if you're selling jeans. So the first question is, will these jeans fit me? Can I return them if they don't fit me? Will it cost me? And how much it will cost me if I want just to return? Can I return them if I just don't like them? So many questions arise in people's head when they're trying to buy online. Amnexia helps and helped to get those additional 3% that actually ask those questions. With data, I can show you data and guarantee that at least additional 2% will buy from you. So the main benefit is increasing your conversion rate from 2% to up to 4%, which comes to marketing budget. That's a lot of savings and a lot of return of investment. So first benefit, reducing cost on customer support. A second benefit would be increasing your ROI. And third benefit, that to me is the most important one, building personal relationship and building trust and increasing your LTV, lifetime value of a customer, with providing support to your customers and making personal connection. Yeah, he would say, how you building personal connection with AI? You don't, but soon enough, and people can maybe hate me about this or maybe like me, but soon enough, people will not recognize if AI is chatting with them or a content is being generated with AI or they're speaking with AI or not. And to be honest, people will not care. As long as their problem is being solved in real time and they just move on and they buy and they do their job, not just in e-commerce, in every aspect of our lives.
We've all seen demonstrations of things like, for example, AI models making phone calls to make reservations for travel or for restaurants and things like that. And part of the technology that you're using right now allows for things like these to happen. Now, having big companies like Google and OpenAI and others entering a lot of different markets right now, how does Aminex and their Aminexia offering
Next, yeah,
differentiate itself from these offerings by larger companies?
right.
And how is it more specific than the efforts that they are making right now?
So first thing, Amnexia is very different from OpenAI and Grok or Anthropic and so on and so forth. Amnexia is an RAG agentic system that uses ML models like OpenAI, Anthropic, Llama. To be more specific, what an agentic system is, let's say, imagine you have one person or one piece of code that has an LLM behind it, and this LLM is specifically trained to be empathic. to understand customer needs, to understand customer emotions, and so on and so forth. And then if this agentic agent, which can be, let's say in this case, OpenAI, understand that this customer needs an order information, send this order information to a different agent that has a different ML model behind it, and this model might not be OpenAI. In our case, it's actually Grok. Why Grok? Because based on evaluations and based on testings, Grok is very good with data. So understands the data, can extrapolate data much more precisely than OpenAI or Llama, and from this data can make an assumption that if an order is being sent out from a warehouse in Panama City, can be delivered in David by tomorrow. So what's the difference between Amenexia in OpenAI and Grok and so on and so forth? Amenexia is an agentic RAG system that's specifically trained and fine-tuned with e-commerce data and e-commerce experience to help online customers. Can this be challenged in the future? Probably, but not without tons of experience in e-commerce, not without data that's okay. So that's why we have MNX team behind it to support it. And I'm not challenging OpenAI and Grok things like this with Amenexia. We are using systems like this to expand Amenexia and to be more smarter and better every day.
Speaking of expanding and being better every day, what are your expansion plans for Amenexia in 2026? And what advice would you give local e-commerce entrepreneurs?
So the plans for expansion is to just, number one, educate more e-commerce founders, more e-commerce store owners, the importance of customer support in real time, the importance of personalization, the importance of answering the right questions in the right time. And what's the advice I would give to every e-commerce owner in Panama is make sure you don't make a difference between selling online and selling in your local store. And always make sure you take the risk away from your customer.
In that regard, oh, sorry.
That would advice.
Okay. Okay. So we've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. Is there any way for people who want to know more about these tools and whether or not they can connect with their existing systems, their existing e-commerce, or if they're planning to open an e-commerce website and are looking to populate their stack with the best tools available, how can they get in touch with you guys?
The simplest way is just to visit amenexia.ai and send us a contact us form.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Igor, for this inspiring talk about how Amenexia is taking Panamanian e-commerce to the next level with accessible, human-centered artificial intelligence. We
Con
invite
gusto.
our listeners to visit amenexia.ai and try out this digital revolution and to continue innovating with us here at Vida Digital. Don't miss our next episode on Radio Ancon. That'll be in Spanish, though, where technology comes to life right in front of you. See you soon and catch you on the next one.
Bye, everybody.
And we're